Hello there, beloved Ascension Pioneers, and welcome to sort of my last video update since I officially head on to my summer holiday. It's been a busy time for me through this months and years, actually. So recently what's happening is a lot of the planetary movements are going retrograde, and we're gonna have Venus, Pluto, Saturn still, I think, and Neptune, Chiron, the wounded healer, and Uranus as well is going retrograde. So what is being felt right now is this deep calling for this return of love within our hearts. If you're an Ascension Pioneer and you've been on this constant path of inner-outer expansion, you have to get ready for this cycle of integration. So recently, as you know, we've been walking through the solstice gateway, which was very intense. It was accompanied by a lot of solar activity, and just recently we had a major flaring that was actually on the other side of the sun. But the thing is that even though these flarings are not always earth directed, everything, as you know, is interconnected, and in creation everything is one. So what takes place is that between those interplanetary relations, there's this influence of the magnetic fields that are interacting with each other. So as all the planets, not just our Earth, are receiving these magnetic upgrades, it means that, they're actually, when they're dancing these cosmic dance, that they're actually aligning what we call the celestial astrological alignments, is that everything is playing out within this web. So what this means for me, how Spirit is showing me, is that now is this time for more of introspection. There was recently a lot of new being upgraded within us, but there's nothing that we can do on a certain level. We just have to release, and we have to start integrating. So that's just how it is. What is being called for at this time, you might be feeling this yourself, is this need to just return to our hearts. This is that time when Venus goes retrograde, and she does so every 2.5 years. This almost is felt like the return of love. So whenever there's been something that we've been neglecting, our own self-nurture, that we've been giving, but we weren't in a receiving mode, when we're just in that state of gratitude, the divine, feminine, and masculine, that great balance, when we maybe were guided to constantly do, not just do, but a lot of our soul journey encompasses new experiences. But you have to know that when we live out our celestial origin in our physicality, not everything will always come to us as an external event. That depends where you are in your soul awareness. If you're still perceiving reality from these denser realms of experiences, you're going to need lots of action, lots of stimulation. Like we call this younger souls, they need lots of activity stimulation, lots of external senses stimulation. And what this brings is a lot of times this constant craving for new experiences. But if you're not yet mature in your soul, that means you're not really integrating them so that you can grow. If we're only focused on the external, this masculine light, which is the planting of the seeds, the putting light out there, the shining, the experiencing, the taking and savoring life, but then without that gratitude and integration, which is that feminine principle. So as you know, the great goddess simply creates life by dividing herself, and this is how all life in creation comes into form, comes into existence. And in truth, everything is really simple. We have eternal light that starts to fragment itself, and it becomes love. And love in its infinite forms and expressions crystallizes itself through wisdom. So this is how we grow and expand. But during this cycle, it's going to be very important for us to turn inwardly, because there was we can't really comprehend it with our human minds, but I'm sure your bodies have been feeling it recently, that there was a lot of these new upgrades. But we can't really move further on and start this new chapter that's really beginning for us in the future years to come if we don't really stop and pause and reflect on everything that was leading us to a certain point. When we don't do that, our life can become aimless, pointless. It's only based on personality and just gathering experiences without crystallizing them into form. This week I posted the before last mastery course on our crystalline soul nature, and it teaches you how to really maintain your celestial frequency. And in the fall, when I'm back from my summer holiday, I'm going to be doing more work, because this was always my desire. I never shared so much about myself. I did a lot, in how I live. But the thing is that I'm a crystalline soul. I'm a crystal child. and I'm very sensitive, very sentient to things. I need lots of harmony. If my surroundings are not harmonious, then I can get like, because all this that is just harmonious goes directly in your auric field. You will feel these distortions and your energy is going to be scattered. You will be feeling this. You won't have such a great focus. So I love working with crystal. I love doing these crystalline grids. I love working on high refined level of our consciousness, because in truth we are consciousness, and it's just consciousness remembering itself in the form. And that's why the form, as you remember through divine remembrance of your true origin, starts to expand and refine itself. So I talk about this as well in this mastery course, and stay updated for next week as well, because before I officially go to my holiday, I will post the last one. So the basic 7 initiations are complete, and you know what this means sometimes on our journey is we become this 0 point, and from the 0 field we start experiencing and expanding. So it's almost like the Fool, aspect in tarot. Then we have all these different archetypes we're going through. They're not always linearly following each other, So if you're doing oracle readings for yourself, you're going to see it's going to be all a little bit mixed. So it's never a linear experience. It's almost like taking those fractals of multidimensional experiences of the self that you're ready to incorporate and integrate at this time. So it's non-linear, it's just infinite, and it's how you feel. It's a feeling-based experience. So when this was taking place, then a lot of these aspects were coming to us, but we didn't always feel purpose and meaning for all of them. So we become this seeker. We want more out of life. We start seeking, and this is what's happening. I made this beautiful energy forecast for the month of July, which is wanting more from life, wanting more pleasure. But how do we get there? It's going to be individual work here. For me as well, at a certain point we're always asked to integrate what you have learned, what you have gathered to your experiences. A lot of times the ego will say, but I need more experiences, I need more of this, I need more of that. Gathering more stuff, accumulating more things, more experiences. Without integration, it's just going to bring you constant seeking for information. If you're one of those beings who are still so craving to have more spiritual information, to read every single book that's out there, to just do, and without integrating knowledge, true wisdom of the soul, then that which is within you, then you're always going to stay on that craving, that seeker. You're always going to remain a seeker. But the seeker eventually becomes the teacher, and then the teacher becomes the seeker again when it refines itself to a level, when there's a new initiation, a new level of mastery at hand. And this is where presence comes into action. I mean, we always need to be present, and I feel one of the greatest teachers of teaching presence is probably Moji. He's really good in teaching people how to just embrace this presence and not identifying with what we think and who we think we are, but just really living a life of your presence, of your consciousness. So every one of us has a specific role to play within this awakening, and we're all in a way really needing to feel what this is for us, but we won't find this on the outside, because we're all fragments of the source, and we don't all have all the answers, all of them. We each have a particle. We each have a specific, unique mission to participate with. Our own contribution counts, and that's so important. And it's beyond the mind, it's beyond the reasoning, it's beyond wanting to fit, wanting to serve, wanting to this and that. When service is true and genuine, it just happens. You are a living embodiment of divine, serving through grace. If not, if it's forced, then it will constantly feel like a struggle. And if you feel like you always need an experience, you always need more, you gotta visit every single thing, you gotta travel everywhere, you gotta constantly experience something without really integrating that, a lot of times, because there will be an attachment to it, you will feel disappointment and lack. You won't find the true fulfillment. Let's say you go and travel somewhere and you say, I will go there to meet new people, and that doesn't happen. Of course you will feel disappointment, because there's a part of you that was kind of hoping for that, and that part is that personality aspect that craves something, which is not the same thing as that soul desire, which is just to be. It's to be in your authentic uniqueness. So with the shedding of these old layers that come from us being squeezed, we need to be squeezed from time to time so we can expand. It's almost like that centrifugal force that washes the clothes, and it's kind of where we are now. And this is how we're going to continue to be asked to move back into our heart. If we're only in the light, constantly in the vertical, or we're always constantly in the horizontal, we're never going to truly feel that balance. And a lot of people are still constantly asking themselves the question, what's my purpose? I'm suffering. I feel this. My country's going through rampage right now. This and that. Can you help me? They're constantly asking for help. They're constantly seeking answers outside of themselves. And there's somewhere to start, to put your intent out there. But don't expect somebody, not even the greatest master in their own personal embodiment, to show you how. I mean, they're just going to give you the tools and resources, because a lot of beings now, they poured all their heart out, including myself, into what they shared. And I've been doing it for years without having any intentions, having any expectations what I'm going to receive in return. But at a certain point, you need to see that it has to be unattached. If it becomes a label, like I'm a being who is of this and that, if you feel that there's a sacrifice to it, it's no longer pure. Your service, your unique divine light in its shine, it's no longer unique in the way that it really serves through authenticness. It's humility, grace. When you think you need to do something, it's no longer genuine. It's no longer truly generous. So when the heart calls you, the heart's going to call you to squeeze itself a little bit more so you can truly expand, to have more love. Because if we only gather light and information without love, because love is that which will eventually crystallize itself in form, then all we have is just, you can have so many pearls, but you don't know how to put them together. You're never going to have a necklace, for example. And there are so many stories and like parables I could tell you here, but I feel at this level it's really important that everybody learns in a way to find their own first step into this new. I mean, including the greatest masters, even they're going to be challenged in some way, because it's all growth. On the level where you are, there's going to be growth for you. It doesn't matter what level of awareness you're still attuning to, but there will be growth for all of us. But growth comes through that love and integration, not just through information and constant light and constant need to do and just always expand. There's this big expansion that comes through the activation of the light, but the greatest expansion that happens when the heart opens and it receives more love, and then it can give more love, because it's all one process. It's not separate. When you live in unity consciousness, you see the giving and receiving are always one. It's not, okay, then I will receive so that I can give. Beautiful butterfly. I attract a lot of them. So the thing is that it's time for that simple life, for that simplicity. And I love when these beings, such as Moji, for example, they work with groups. Because the thing is, if we just do personal work, you're always going to be tuning into that individual and giving them something that they need to figure out on their own. So that's why I stopped doing personal services the way I used to do them. Because in that step where we're moving now, it just feels more fitting that everybody starts to do the work. You can't feed them crummies all the time so they just get these partial answers. Remember, what is there first, the question or the answer? When we moved out into creation as unique souls, before these experiences even began, what was first? Was first the question, who am I? And then moving out into creation, or vice versa. I say it's both, There's this need to experience, to know, so you can know more of yourself and your abilities when you start to expand. And at the same time, that's already there, and then you ask the question with that, okay, then what am I? Instead of who am I? So when you think about that, and you're constantly asking questions, and you ask it to others because you think they're going to give you answers, you continue to postpone your own inner truth, trusting yourself. So if I would say Moji is a great example of living this presence, he's totally mastered this, and how he shares this. My purpose is more to help people with mastering this trust. Trust in the guidance they're receiving, trust in the way they live, trust every choice, every decision. It takes you to where you need to be, period. And when we have that full trust, we will see the divine plan of perfection and our own plan are not separate. They're together. They're already merged. So at this time, for me personally, this is how I can share. I can never really teach something I don't experience myself. So everything I share, it's genuine, because I go through it. I live through it. Every story, every parable, every pondering, I'm kind of like a cave woman, not in a literal sense, but I'm that hermit archetype, because I need this pondering, I need lots of that reflection to be with the self, so that I can share these messages on a higher level. I cannot do these trivial levels, which is all just surface. It's just, you know, it's something that greater devotees of spirit are being drawn to, because they know it's something that brings you the richness and depth of your own spirit experience. And it's just beautiful what's happening, but it's something that will require courage more than ever so before, because it feels like a part of us still feels fear. Okay, if I don't go there, for example, I'm not going to meet a certain individual, or if I don't do that, this won't come into my life. So this self-doubt, it kind of brings us to a state that is so unnatural. You know, just I've been pondering on this yesterday and today, how much we think about this all the time, what we want to manifest, what we crave for. I'm going to do that, I'm going to go there. The mind sometimes still likes so many things. When the soul is so simple in its desires, you just ask it, okay, what do you need in this now moment? Not like all the desires you have in your lists and the list you want to achieve in this lifetime, but what do you really crave for? And I'm going to tell you, the true answer for everybody is the same. Everybody just craves their own spirit connection. And if you're still seeking and wanting all this information, it means you're still not really connected to the presence of your I am. You're still scraping those lower levels, and you know, you're trying hard, you know, trying to understand more. There won't be understanding without greater activation of love, and we all perceive love on different levels. You say, okay, I have children, I love them, I have love, I have a spouse, I have a partner, I love them, I have love. But love is something that it's not, it just is, and in every level you are, it's more love, because through that wisdom that it crystallizes itself through, it becomes more of it. And that's what the creation always expands, because there's always more love. Light just is. Light is always eternal, but love is infinite. That's what it means. It continues to expand and grow. So integration of that wisdom is what brings us there. And just think about it, just ponder sometimes, you know. I also experience sometimes when people come to me and they want to share everything they do with me. This is that, I do this, look at my links, look at this. It's like everybody has this desire to be seen, to be recognized. And because I have such a neutral vision and such a great heart of acceptance, that people probably feel, wow, they want to share everything with you. But the true nature, who you really want to share with, is just be with peace with your heart. You know, share with yourself, be your own creative spark. Trust yourself. You know, you don't have to say everything about yourself in order to feel like you fit, you belong, and people get you, and you have the best friends and the best comrades. And a lot of things we do that way, we project. A lot of times, you know, you see someone, you feel, wow, this could be my next friend or partner or whatever, and we project everything, and we want something of them, and they're never going to be our source. I mean, I've learned to integrate that part of me. I mean, it's not something you learn on a prime level, because on prime level we are that already. It's something you learn to experience also as a human. It's our human part that needs that experience. And then I see people come and they want to, it almost feels like overwhelming when you can feel that they want to share everything with you, and you can't, because the thing is that our journey will always be unique and our own, and what we truly crave for is that inner union. And that inner union won't come through more light, more information, more of this, more of that. You already are light, but you came out into creation to experience yourself as love that will become wisdom through the knowing of yourself as light and love. Not just light, not just love, you know, it's the understanding that's much richer than what we're used to in most of the teachings. And you know, one thing is to learn presence. Okay, then what am I being present for? What is this presence? What this is, this consciousness, and why is it here in form? Then it goes deeper. It can go much deeper, because the first part of you will start to move out. You know, the seeking, the seeker. And when you know you've arrived. You know, you never finally arrive, but you have arrived in this peaceful state when you know and remember your true I am presence. This is who you are. You know, sometimes people say to me, you are not the I am, because I read it in capital letters. And they say, only God is the I am, you are not. And I think, okay, so if we are from that God, people call it like that, then why are we so small? Then why are we so tiny, fragile, little, you know, belittling ourselves? Why? I know the great goddess, you know, there's a lot of great teachings and even oracle cards. And I mean, in my own work of exploration, I have discovered some amazing pearls in this earth that's sometimes a little yucky as well from everything that's coming out, everything that was inauthentic and distorted. There are so many pearls out there, but you have to become your own seeker who will seek that out, who will start to say, I'm the one. Really it's time to realize. And this is where we begin. We begin with that first step of realization that everything we have to say, everything we want to share, it's all with ourselves first. So if your energy doesn't flow to your source first, it will continue to be projected onto others. And if it won't come out the way you hoped, you will get emotional, you're going to have mental disappointments, and you're going to fall out of that alignment, and you will feel yourself as not happy. So eventually our heart needs to return to that state of wholeness by just embracing ourselves as already perfect, without the need to constantly strive for and do. And this is almost like genetically imprinted within us. Everybody, even if you don't have this on a soul level, you come here even as a volunteer soul, you came to a certain family, and you have a lineage that's a refined lineage of your DNA. It has many different ancestors. It has many different experiences and imprints. And once you start to really work with your soul's light to infuse your experience, you will see a lot is going to maybe come to the surface, and you won't feel it's yours, that belongs to your soul, but it's there anyway. So you will need compassion and acceptance and understanding that flows through you. So you're the one. I see a lot of people who have also their own experiences, and when they share to somebody who's just neutral, they want to project all that they're experiencing to them as well. And we can no longer do that. Just because you're experiencing something doesn't mean another person has to. I often see this when people say, I experienced this, when you're going to do it, it's also going to feel like this, and you'll see. No, it's not how it is in truth. We are all fragments. We're still fragmented in a way. We're a greater consciousness that decided to fragment in a way to have these individual experiences in order to gather together, to refine creation, to gather more love, and it blow out again. Like our own Big Bang, our own creation, but it doesn't happen without love. So we won't be able to move out into this new if we don't fully let go of all those preconceived notions. I'm going to give you one example. What this is there's this great implemented distorted perception that we are truly of service when we're in the sacrifice mode, and that we actually have to make ourselves as an offering and put our life aside because we're in service. Saint Germain said this great quote that when he realized that's so not true, that you're your own I am. The only truth you bow down to is through your own I am presence, because your I am presence is already part of the great I am presence of all. And that's your true master, is your I am presence. And in a way, I feel this when people say, I'm going to serve others, I'm going to help others, I'm going to heal others. There's so much there that is truly inauthentic. When people say, I'm working this technique that's going to reconnect others, going to help others to do this, it's just partial truth, but not the whole truth. The real truth is how you attune to it will be only through you, and that's why as a master of your own experience, you can truly work with the group level that you say, this is how it is, this is how I experience the ultimate and the absolute through me. But how you're going to do it, it's you, because you have the tools. And in truth, we don't really trust others to expand in their own natural state and evolution if we continue to feed them our own perspectives, our own ideas about ourselves and about them. So when you're really working on the ray of purity, which I am, and everybody, that's the way of ascension, is to purify yourself from all of this, you're going to see that these things will start to come up. If they're not coming up, they're still staying hidden. Everybody needs to go through and deal with this in their own way. So at this time, this return of love, and I feel these retrograding planets are giving us this amazing divine gift of truly moving within. A lot of times this will mean, plug out the electronics, the computers, and lately I'm just not guided. I just can't turn on my computer in the morning. It just feels in a way. And we need to trust those feelings, because the mind can say, yeah, but then I won't connect to the world, but then I won't do this, but there's a lot of these buts. Whenever there's a but, nib it in the butt. Seriously, buts are negations, and we continue to negate ourselves because we feel we have those obligations and duties to others. And nature is the way. That's why I feel I really need this life of simplicity at this time before moving on to this new expansion cycle, because I need to integrate it. Everything I've received and worked for, it doesn't just happen. There's a time that's needed for integration. It's how nature functions. Look at the cycles of the year. It's just how it is. The goddess knows. Listen to the goddess everywhere in nature. I see a lot of people say, I love nature, but you never see them in nature. It's like, okay, you love nature, but then you're always inside. You're always behind your computer. You're always doing this and that. What's stopping you? Just, take your work outside. Everybody can do that, more and more. And then eventually you're going to see it's possible to just really merge and fuse with the great goddess in all ways. I mean, I can't be inside. It's beautiful like this. You're missing out on all the beauty that is here through our source and in creation. So also I feel it's really important to realize that we matter in a way that we're not needed, and yet we are. A lot of times we like to feel needed and we think we're in service, but we're actually doing this because we think we're needed. And people say, oh, the world so much needs you. Is that true? What if, I was thinking about this, what if I'm gone one day? What's left is my legacy, all the things I put there. I put all my heart into it, and it's if I go, then it's enough. I did my bidding. And the thing is that we sometimes try so hard to make something plausible and that it works and to manifest, but if it doesn't go and you think, I'm probably doing something wrong, no, maybe it's just you're trying too hard. The things that are natural to your soul are going to happen either way, because you're going to embrace your own sacred space. And it's going to happen within that space. We each have that unique frequency. And I noticed this about myself. If I try to push myself to be somewhere like others and like this, I will always create something that will just work against me. If you've noticed this, take a look into the reflections of your days. When I have a very simple day, when I go, for example, like this, on my mountain beach or hiking in the mountains or climbing even, and I find beautiful rocks and I'm working with crystals and I'm just being myself, there's so much awareness that comes through. Now, there is a part of me that says, but I need to go here and this and this and that day will be sometimes like chaos. And this is not wrong. It's just to show you, look at where you belong, look at where you truly belong, and embrace that. It's you. And the mind will always want something different, because it's trained that way. Because it's a hungry child that we have been neglecting so long, because we said the mind is bad, put it to sleep. No, listen to the mind. It has things to say to you, but then own it, be its master. Say, it's enough, enough with these rambles, I just had this beautiful baptism day a few days ago when my mind was going constantly like, what I need to do. And I said, but look, mind, you're not my master. And then my mother says to me, just go take a dip in this cold, icy cold mountain water. I didn't even listen to 5 minutes. I just got up and I went to the water and just sat in it. And I just floated. And she said, look, your mind floated with the river. And it was true. At that moment, I was like, oh, what was I thinking? It really works because you give it your sacred devotion. You say, I will do that. You can own yourself. You can own your focus. There's people who write to me every day saying, I'm worried about my country. I'm worried about this. I'm worried about my family. I'm worried about my spouse. I'm worried about everything. Well, stop worrying and let things work out on their own. I mean, you know how many times we say, oh, the humanity needs saving. Have you ever gone out on a beautiful sunny day when you look at people enjoying in their own way? A lot of times they're not really nice to nature. I gotta say this. They're not really treating it with respect, and they're littering and they're doing all these things that are not really nice because they don't have awareness. They're not in presence with their consciousness, and they've forgotten who they are. But you look at the people and they seem to be just fine. Nobody's saying, please, with the signpost, I need help, help me. They look fine. And in truth, even though they're saying, I need help, I need help, I need help, even then they're fine, because the thing is that you cannot overcome the experience itself, because the experience exists. That's why it's there. You cannot negate it. You cannot say, oh, I'm going to help you in a way that I prevent you from having this experience in itself. I am a very vertical being, which means that I don't need lots of external stimulation to be deep in my feelings. That the awareness comes, it's how I am. It's where I am in awareness. But when I have experiences, even then, I don't doubt them. I say, they need to happen for my further integration of that awareness. You can have awareness, but you need to integrate it so that you're human. I said this numerous times. Ascension is the integration of the human, the new human species, the new humankind, the new root race. And if you feel guided, that's probably you're part of this. You're part of this process. You're part of this refinement. But this is where we are now, and this is where I am now. And I don't know if everybody's here, but I'm sharing, and there's probably those who will feel similar, and their heart will open even more, and they'll say, wow, I'm here as well. How many times I didn't trust myself and I created this and that? I'm gonna get them thinking. And that's what we need. Sometimes, you know, the thinking is not bad when it's a thinking in terms of pondering and reflecting. It's almost like your presence is allowing the space for this higher thinking, higher mind to refine you. But when the lower mind gets plugged in and it's almost like na 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 na, then sometimes you need to say, it's enough. Take a cold shower, like I did. And you know, it's just experience. It is what it is, you know. And the best thing you can do is become your own gift, become your own master, because then you really illuminate and you give people inspiration to start doing work on their own. Because if you think you're going to heal them, then you really are working from your ego. It's not really your soul that knows the perfection and everything. And I had this really great epiphany that I'm not needed. You know, I exist. I'm here. It's beautiful that I'm here. I'm grateful. Sometimes I'm like, oh, am I really needed? No, the answer is I'm not. I just am here. Not because I'm needed. Like, love is not needed. Love just is. And when you're love and you experience yourself as love, you will see that you're not here because you're needed. And you will drop that perception of being needed as a parent, as a child, as a spouse, as a... You're playing those things. You're part of the scenario, but not because you're needed to do it. There's still conditioning there. And I think this summer with all these retrogrades, what I'm intuitively feeling, just Spirit showing me, is real desire to unplug from all that really makes us still humans that are continuously choosing the old programming and stepping into that rebirthed, refreshed, new human, pure, simplistic, enjoying life, knowing that you're loved, not needing to save others, not needing to even save yourself. You are where you are, and it's perfect. So this is where I am. I'm going to be taking a summer holiday off, which means that the galactic readings are postponed until the fall. Everything is postponed except for my Serafina Light products, mastery courses, light activations I have on my page. Yeah, those kind of things. You can check that out. I have beautiful light activations, especially I love the one I created recently with the activation of our celestial self. When you really feel yourself like this angelic being and starting to experience yourself more like this. And this means that you're not going to project anything on the outside because you're going to live your own crystalline nature. And if you're guided, take the course as well, the crystalline nature. And the last one will be on mastering polarity and our twin soul union. So stay updated for that. That comes next week, and then I'm officially off to my holiday. I will see when I'm guided to share something else. I don't know, because I don't like to project for the future, because it all comes in the now. Enjoy your beautiful presence. Really embrace your sacred heart, because the heart is the gateway for our ascension, and it's just the way to go. And if you're still asking yourself and you want my services or somebody else's services, ask yourself first, what are you really seeking? Before your mind really thinks it's seeking something, ask yourself first, okay, but what am I really seeking? And allow the answer to come, because if the question's there, it means the answer is already there. It's just how it is. They're one. The answer, the question are one. Light, love, one. You are a beautiful child of that love. So stay true to your heart. I'm going to see you soon, I hope. And have a beautiful summer and enjoy all these celestial lemons, because they're super yummy, as are you. So take care. So much love, wisdom, and power with grace. Signing out. Bye-bye.